right here. Up here. Yeah, just go straight.
BC's upstairs there, eh?
It's downstairs.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess that's how you help lost people now. You gotta keep your distance and all that. What's going on today? A lot of interesting and crazy stuff. Oh, we start with some of the informational ones that I found kind of interesting. Apparently Transport Canada is asking for input and opinions for people to say how planes and aviation in general, I guess, should be modernized. It says here, modernizing safety management systems policy review, civil aviation. Kind of reminds me of what they had with that drone stuff where they asked people to put in their comments and all that on the site. Whether or not it actually works, who knows? It says Transport Canada is conducting an SMS policy review of the Canadian aviation sectors currently regulated to have SMS requirements under the Canadian Aviation Regulations. The objective of the policy review is to conduct a retrospective review of the initial SMS implementation from 2005 to the SMS current state by identifying lessons learned and opportunities moving forward. This does sound more for traditional aircraft here, but it does make me wonder if this stuff would potentially go into things like the drones as well. Although I'm thinking if they technically try to classify every single drone like an airplane, then technically this would be related to the drones as well, I guess. Are you gonna certify, for example, drone aerodromes nowadays too? Lots of different news about police and stuff like that today too. Although the first one was related to drones, this one here says, Westport police use drone to locate suicidal man. A Bristol County Police Department is getting some help from above. On Friday night, Westport police received a call about a man who made suicidal comments to his family. Police said his phone was off, leaving him untraceable, but they knew he might be in a wooded area in town. That's when police decided to deploy their drone equipped with a thermal camera. As soon as we went up, we swept a portion of the property and went over to the cemetery, and that's when we found him lying on the stone wall, said Westport Detective Robert Ribello, a FAA certified remote pilot. The man was found safe and taken to hospital for evaluation. This incident serves as a shining example of how this technology is being used as a life-saving tool. The dates they mention are kind of interesting to think about. It says drones have been used in the US military in overseas operations since 2000. However, police departments didn't start using them in 2016. Westport Police Department started investing in its own program 2 years ago. One drone was purchased by the town and the other was donated. It's kind of interesting with that date because I would say that's probably around the time when huge hysteria and stuff actually came about. 2016, 2017, at least here in Canada anyways. But with that story of saving someone who had suicidal thoughts with a drone and all that, I know during these times a lot of people are going through a lot of things like mental illness and all that. And with the stories today, holy, it makes you wonder if this is all related to things like the lockdown. Apparently, here in Vancouver, there's a guy walking around with a machete. And yeah, he's basically going around houses. People have videos of this from their security cameras. Like this one shows he's walking around, going right through the front door. It seems like he's tapping the buttons and stuff on the door too with the knife. And he's going to other neighborhoods and other areas as well, as you can see from other video footage. That's crazy. Now to my knowledge, it says the guy dropped the knives on the property and he was arrested afterwards, but it makes you wonder what's going to happen, because I remember there was a story around here where someone was carrying a chainsaw and apparently he was just released shortly after. What crazy times we live in. Because it makes you wonder if it is about things, for example, like the lockdowns, things like mental illness. And I know with the recent restrictions here, where they're mandating masks in indoor public spaces, it's probably going to create a lot of, I guess you could say, conflict and fights between people. And I was reading this, I don't think this quote is going to go off very well. Maybe it's just taken out of context. Because this one here, it says, BC's top doctor says she doesn't have time for those who say masks make them sick, limit freedom. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry says she doesn't have any time for those who think wearing a mask makes them ill or is a limitation of their personal freedom. Henry told a news conference yesterday that she objects to people who don't want to follow the province's mandatory mask requirements. BC made masks mandatory in indoor public spaces last week. People who refuse to wear a mask face a $230 fine. Again, it makes me think of that topic on how all of a sudden she kind of flipped, because before she was saying she doesn't encourage or suggest that you should make masks mandatory. It should be more about things like distancing and all that. Because as expected, people are getting arrested for not wearing masks inside places like stores. But then this one was kind of the most interesting. Apparently in Ontario, there's a lot of businesses that are, I guess, protesting the shutdowns. Because to my understanding, their argument is how come they have to close down, like a smaller store, versus a big box store can actually stay open, which doesn't make sense. So they basically opened their stores anyways. There's some barbecue place and a lot of people supported them, businesses and all that. But because of that, I guess they arrested the person. This one says, Ito Picok barbecue restaurant owner arrested after defying COVID-19 lockdown orders. Large crowds still gathered outside the restaurant in support of the owner. Adam Skelly, who faces 9 non-criminal charges including violating indoor dining rules, holding an illegal gathering, and operating a business without a license, was handcuffed outside Adamson Barbecue and put into a police cruiser around noon Thursday. And people showed all the stuff in social media and stuff as well. It just makes you wonder how crazy or potentially violent this could get afterwards, because a lot of people have just had enough, I guess you could say. Because a lot of people argue it's not health related, they'll say it's political, and I guess this story doesn't help that narrative at all. This one says, Auditor slams Ontario for sidelining public health experts in COVID-19 response. To my understanding, the summary of it is she was saying in her report most of the decisions were based more political than with health, I guess, experts and advice, which I guess whoever this person is, that Doug Ford guy afterwards said, no, that's not true, etc., etc. But yeah, what a mess this whole thing is during these days, huh? Will we ever get back to normal, so to speak, huh? I think the only thing normal during these times are things like the animals, honestly. Hey, it actually kind of stopped raining. It's kind of funny. Alright, see you guys later.